one of the biggest contradictions that people always say in the manifestation space is this, right? They say, okay, I imagined this for a while, I thought about this for a while, I applied some techniques for this desire for a while, but yeah, it's not there yet. What am I doing wrong? There is something missing. And the key point, first of all, is this. You can't say that you're convinced that your desire is already done, but still keep desiring, right? You can't keep desiring what you already are. Meaning, would you live in the awareness, in the consciousness of already being the person you want to be, of already having achieved what you want to be, and that would be internally natural for you because you encountered it via your imagination again and again. You encountered this feeling state in your inner world again and again, and it kind of became certain to you that this is who you are, you already have achieved it. Then you could not say, but I'm still desiring this, right? Imagine desiring as one state, and having it, or aka being the version of yourself that you want to be, as another state. You cannot be in those two states at the same time, right? You cannot still desire it and at the same time say, oh, but yeah, I have it. But then secretly you actually still desire and hope and wish for that thing to happen. I hope you know what I mean, right? If you fully live in the state of having accomplished it, of having achieved it, right? Believe you have received, and then you will. So if you're first internally in this feeling of the wish fulfilled, then you cannot at the same time still keep hungering for your desire. And a good metaphor for that is when your stomach is full, you can't desire food, right? So what do you do when you have physical hunger? I always bring this example on my channel, but you start to eat until your hunger is satisfied. And that is what we do when we have physical hunger. And now simply take hunger as a metaphor for desire. Okay, when you have this desire to be this, to achieve this, no matter in which life area that might be, then you can keep hungering that and keep desiring that. That will only increase the hunger, because the longer you hunger, the bigger the hunger gets, because you still haven't satisfied your hunger. When you dive into the satisfaction of the wish fulfilled, the hunger is relieved. And how do you do that with a desire? Well, of course, you don't eat physical food when you have a desire to manifest it, no, but you experience it as being done. Right, you feel into what it would be like. Would you already have it? Would you already be that? Right, you kind of align internally to that version of yourself that is already in existence since creation is finished, that already has the goal, that already comes with your desired traits and manifestations, right? And what people oftentimes say, and statements that I very often hear, are things like, I'm not seeing signs, but when am I going to see signs? How do I know that I'm on the right path? I'm impatient. Nothing is working. Nothing is happening. I'm trying so hard. I'm trying for X amount of time, for 4 years, for a couple of months, but nothing is happening. And that the fallacy already lies in those statements. You can't say that. And Neville said to his students, well, when you say, okay, I imagine it, but nothing is happening, what are you imagining in this moment right now? What are you aware of right now? What do you plan right now? Right? What do you feed? What do you give your attention to right now? You go in the direction of, it's not here yet. I don't have it. There is no movement. And the only thing that matters in this game of life is, where do you stand within, right here and right now? As you know, I say this in many videos. Neville said this in many lectures. Your life outpictures and is confirming the late mirror of who you are within, of what you have alive within yourself. So if you internally say, oh, I'm doing a little bit, and then you open your eyes and then you're like, where is it? Nothing has changed yet. It's not there yet. Then you get something wrong, because your life can only show you what already is, who you already are, what is already certain to you. And then that will, via a bridge of events and things that you do and things that happen in your world, start to unfold. But it only shows you in this, through the unfolding, eventually what you already decided to be and what you already felt yourself to be right now, right here. So when you say one of those statements, and I want you to be really aware that you're completely out of the state of the wish fulfilled when you say those things, right? And nothing needs to happen. Right? People always say, okay, I did all these techniques and all of that, but nothing has happened yet. You get something wrong. It's like you looking in a mirror and you're like, you still look with the same neutral face into this glass mirror, and you're like, okay, but the mirror is not changing. Why is the mirror not changing? Why is the mirror still not smiling at me? Well, because you're not smiling, because you are not changing your face. Like Neville said, leave the mirror alone and change your face. That was just a metaphor for your inner state, your identity, your self-concept, right? What you believe and accept to be true, and then the mirror can confirm that. So that's why these statements do not really make sense. And when you say them, then be aware. It's okay when you say them and you kind of, you feel a bit stuck on a journey. That might happen, but then don't continue to dwell on the lack of not having it yet. So maneuver back in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So if you notice yourself wishing, or you constantly look for signs, you use force, you try to make something happen, right? You try to create it and force it into being, then first of all, see that you put your desired state again at a distance, right? You say, okay, I'm working towards being there, instead of bringing the desire in the here and now, embodying it, living as though you already are it, right? Living in the end, living from the wish fulfilled, living from the end. And instead of making that natural, you make it even more unnatural by saying it's not here yet, I'm trying to get this, but it's still the future, it's still separate from me. And that won't work. And that's I don't want to say it won't work. It might work because you unconsciously, while you try to force it, still continue to assume it, and then it still eventually plays out. But that's more like the rational forcing things into being way. But God's way, Neville's way, the law of assumption way, the conscious way is for you to realize that you can't force something into being that already is in being, because everything already is in existence. Everything in creation already does exist. I am. Awareness includes all possible states, so you can simply select and occupy something that already is. So when you say I'm still desiring, it basically simply means that you see your desire at a distance, you've fallen out of the state of being it, of having it, and now you look at it instead of seeing the world from it. That's simply what it means. So what you do need to remember is that, again, your internal world, right? Consciousness, whatever you are aware of in the present moment, that is where you are. That is the only reality, right? The external world is also, you can also declare it as real, but it's simply not final, right? Because once you change within, then the external world basically, provides you with new circumstances, right? You encounter new things, you manifest a partner, you manifest more money, you manifest more business success. So how can that be final? How can that be the reality if you can change what the mirror is showing you, right? Reality is happening within. And the external circumstances, like I just explained, they are a reverberant, echoing mirror, right? I would say a delayed, confirming mirror that can only show you what you accepted to be true for yourself within yourself. So if you are in a poor state, your world shows you poverty. If you're in an ill state, your world shows you illness. If you are in a more healthy state, you might go to do habits and things that are, more express health. If you're in a very financial abundant state, well, then your world gives you opportunities, people, ideas, and you will see financial abundance in your life, right? Same for everything that you can imagine. So it's already there, and you can simply access that now consciously with your imagination. You can consciously access those states that you want to express, those realities that you want to see manifested. And the important thing is, again, that where you are in imagination, translated with inner world, that is where you are. And a simple example to prove that is, and everyone can prove this right now. Everyone that is listening to this video can prove that this is real, that you're not where you are in the sense world, because let's just say, again, this easy example of your bank account, right? Let's just say your bank account shows you red numbers, you have a lot of bills, you always get triggered by that, and you always react when you see those red numbers and those bills and all of that. When you move in your internal state, in your internal world, in this state of financial abundance, financial security, financial overflow, financial success, feeling wealthy, right? Feeling financially stable, all of those attributes, and you make that natural, you feel into what that would be like, right? You adopt that identity, you choose that identity that is already really financially secure. Of course, the external world, because we said it's an reverberant, echoing mirror, right? It's not immediately changing always. It still shows you the bills, right? It still shows you the red numbers on the bank account, but your reactions to the same circumstances, externally you see the same things, but because you internally placed yourself in a new state, in your inner reality, in your inner realm, right? You feel already that you have moved. Things feel different. You now have another attitude towards money and wealth and all of that. You see that you no longer react. And that is the number one indication that you have moved within consciousness, that you have moved in your internal world. So in your inner world, you already stand more and more and more stable in the state of wealth. externally, you might still have bills, which you probably always have in this world, but you still have your red bank account currently, but it's no longer really phasing you because you already know that something new is true for you. So you can't still be triggered by that. Same with the people that want to manifest a partner or a relationship, right? Maybe right now you're triggered when you see another couple, when you see that this person is not next to you. Would you internally, via your imagination, place yourself in the reality, assume the feeling of what would it be like? Would I already have it? How would I see the world? How would I feel? What would someone say to me? Let me imaginatively experience that, right? So that you get in the feeling state of having achieved the goal. Well, then you still open your eyes, and of course the relationship with the partner is not manifested right now, but that starts to no longer really face you or trigger you. You no longer take your cue from the circumstances. You now boldly moved in a new reality as within. That is where you already stand stable within. And over time, that is what the mirror will reflect back to you when you stay conscious of that, when you continue to dwell in that end state. So, in the moment of imagining an act that implies fulfillment, it is a done deal, right? That is real. And the moment of you imagining, what is imagining? Imagining is simply a term that we gave to the activity of moving our awareness away from what it is aware of right now, so our senses and your current circumstances and all of that, and you place your awareness on something that is unseen, that is basically unseen potential, non-physicalized potential that you can tune into. You hear it, you can experience it, right? There is no fiction. Whatever you can perceive does in some way, shape, or form exist. Of course, it's not manifested. Your mind can't cross that. So let the mind be the mind. Consciously experience something within that implies to you it is done. And remember that in this moment, you're witnessing that it is happening. Your imagination is real. So persist in that state, right? Persist to nurture that. Basically, plant that seed. And if you really feel like, oh, you're anxious again, then you can plant it again, right? You can dwell in that end state again. Because what I want you to understand is that persistency it's not a hard job. It's not suffering. Persistence is basically not hard work, only when you still come from the paradigm of trying to force something into being. When you know and accept the fact and feel into that and understand those teachings deeper, and you know that everything already is in existence, because everything that you can imagine it, and therefore it must already be there in the non-physical, in your imagination, in the unseen, then persistency becomes fun, becomes joy, because there is nothing greater than to experience the wish fulfilled, to feel the relief. And you don't get that from the manifestation. You get that from the inner experience. The manifestation is only the confirmation, because remember, the world is only the mirror. So that can't be bigger than the inner experience. And then there are all the folks that say, oh, but I don't want to experience this only within. I also want to see this in my outside world. Yes, of course. But you can only, when you first accepted it, moved into that, aligned with that state of consciousness within. Your world and your circumstances cannot and will not change when you not change your state of consciousness, when you not change your inner world, your identity, what you dwell within. That is simply a truth that you have to accept. And if you feel satisfied because you bathed yourself in the wish fulfilled, the good thing and the good news is that you stop desiring automatically, because your desire is dead. Right? You cannot continue desiring something, like I said in the beginning, that you already accept that is done, that you already felt to be true, that you already felt to be real, right? Feeling it real, that you already encountered and experienced in your inner world, in your imagination. You can't desire something that you already have, that you already are. And then you stop desiring, but it's not acting as if, where you say, oh, yeah, right now I stopped desiring it. No, you literally stopped desiring it. The desire died because you witnessed and you dwelled in the fulfilled desire so long that now this became certain to you. This became natural. You self-persuaded yourself, and therefore you no longer desire it. And that is good. That can be a very confusing part for most people, because they then wonder, oh, do I still want this? But as long as you kind of like play with the question, do I actually still want this? Just ask yourself, when it would right now appear in front of you, would you accept it? Would you like to have it? And the answer probably is yes. Then you still want it, but it's now more like a, yeah, of course, and no more a lacking and obsessing over it. And you automatically let go, because the wish is fulfilled, right? The wish is done. You don't force to let go. You don't say when you have a desire, now I let just go of the desire. Okay. you will still have the desire. You can't let go of the desire. The ill person will only let go of illness when they are convinced of health, when they're in a state of health. So if they say, oh, I let go of this desire to be healthy, well, that's cool, but what do they then grab onto? What do they do next? Right? What do they put their focus on? That's always the question. Where do you dwell? Where is your focus? So that should be on the wish fulfilled. And this is what Neville said about this topic of still desiring it, still trying to make it happen. When the desire is upon you, that is the time to accept your wish in its fullness. Right? That's beautiful because we want to accept it. We don't want to push it away, ignore it, or think that desiring implies lack. No, desiring is beautiful. Desiring is showing you something that is in existence, that is right now an unoccupied state, but that is an already existing state. Otherwise, you could not even have the desire for that state. You can't desire something that's not in existence. So a desire, see it more as like a gift, an opportunity for you to outgrow your current limits. But in order to do that, you need to dive into desire and bathe yourself in already having it and already being it within. And then the mirror of life can confirm that. So the minute desire comes upon you, assume it as already a fact. Do not wait for anything to come to pass. Accept it now. Accept your desire now as though it were true. As though it were true. And what would it be like? And see what happens. That's the quote from the beginning. If you are in Barbados, right, you cannot discuss the means of getting to Barbados. Remember Neville's first manifestation where he had this burning desire to go to Barbados, and he went to his mentor and friend, and his mentor and friend Abdullah basically said, you are in Barbados right now, although Neville was standing in front of him physically in New York. But you have to understand this right now. You must actually live in Barbados in your imagination, in your inner world, in your inner realm, as though you were there. Just as if, and view the world from Barbados, or view the world from already having achieved your goal, living in the end. He did not explain to me then, aka his mentor, but I learned later that, man, being all imagination, right, being our true self is awareness, and imagination is simply awareness in motion, so we constantly shift and dwell through states, is wherever he is in imagination. Right? I can right now sit in this room, but I can dwell in my imagination, in my awareness, in my inner world. I can dwell somewhere else. I can dwell that I'm on the beach. I can dwell that I'm somewhere in Starbucks. I can dwell that I'm in Bali. I can dwell that I'm in my friend's house. I can dwell there within. I can feel what it is to be there. And in this moment of me experiencing that, I'm completely away from where I'm in my sense world, and I'm right now within actually there where I'm conscious of that I am. And imagination is God in man. These things I did not know then. He simply talked the overall picture. I urge you to shape your world from within and no longer from without. Desiring is thinking of. Living it is thinking from. Don't desire it, live it. So that's why I said, if you still try to make it happen, if you still desire it, then relax. Notice what is going on. You still feed that desire. You make it bigger, you make it even more stronger the more you desire, the more you think of, oh, that would be so nice. Ask yourself, what would it be like if it's no longer, if it would be nice, but if you now already have it, if it's now already a done deal, a completely done fact in your world, and mentally see the world as you would see it, would you already have it? Make it natural, make it certain for you within yourself. So, do you want to go to bed tonight desiring and still hoping for it and waiting and dreaming and, daydreaming of it? No. But go to bed, go through your day-to-day life, living it, living in it. Sleep as though you were now the man or the woman that you formerly desire to be. Just as though it were true. Just as though it were true. You don't need to fully, believe it right now. You don't need to get any right emotion. No, these are all byproducts of you dwelling in a new reality. The belief starts to grow. Maybe emotions come up, but you should focus all on bringing the desired state in the here and now. Your name is I am, not I will be, right? I am. What are you right now? What are you aware of right now? What are you dwelling on right now? Right? That's the mental diet. What do you feed and which seeds do you plant in your inner garden? Your world is simply the branches that are growing from within you. So be it within right now. Therefore, you will stop desiring. You will stop trying to get something because it's already a done deal in your inner world, right? The seed is planted. And then you can continue do the other things, to focus on other desires, to not obsess about one thing here and there, and then you will see what happens. That's it for this video. Let me know in the comments if you liked it, if you have any questions on that. If you need any help with that at some point, I have 2 main resources. One is my free masterclass. That's like a 30-minute, no hype, no fluff, no woo video, how to really shift, what mistakes to avoid. So that's the first link in the video description and pinned comments. You can check this out. That's at the same time my newsletter, where you get like new emails when new videos release and those type of things. And if at some point in your manifesting journey, in your Neville Goddard and your law of assumption journey, you say, wait a second, I kind of get all of that, but you want accountability, you want support, you want some coaching, you want a step-by-step system, like a safety net for when you fall out of a state, and what to do when emotions come up, how to deal with fears, negative thoughts, how to really shift states, all the techniques, how to apply them, right? The whole all-in-one solution, basically, and a private community of like-minded people that are part of my private program. Then I invite you to schedule a free 45-minute consultation call with me or someone from my team, so that we can simply find out if we are a good fit, right? If we vibe together, if there's a nice mood, and if you want to continue, we're going to enroll you and you can start. And if not, at least you had a good call, you got aware of some stumbling blocks. This is my phone, my reminder, and that's a perfect time to end this video. Speak to you in the next one. Bye, guys.